I'm thinking, in a sick way, Trump just handed the Democratic Party, if they use it, an issue that they could pound over and over again. But I'm wondering, do you think there's any chance of all the members of the Senate, the Democratic members of the Senate, to pound the issue of Trump pardoning the January 6th rioters? My thinking is, the Republicans will lie to use fear. The Democratic Party, they could honestly use fear. And fear will actually break through to the corporate news because fear sells. But Trump is, he's just created his brown shirts, and all the people who might not have who've been too afraid to join the Proud Boys, et cetera, because they didn't want to go to jail, now know they have a get out of jail card.
Right.
But so I'm thinking if en masse, if the Democratic senators, I know it's hard for them to break through the corporate news, but if day after day after day they're out there pounding how scary this issue is for our democracy, do you think there's any chance of that happening, or do you think the Democratic Party is just going to say, well, we'll let it work its normal news cycle and worry about it later?
Yeah. So what would the line be? I mean, Trump just organizes brown shirts. I mean, we have no evidence of that other than that he let all these people out of jail.
I would say the time for, I called Mom in Illinois, so I called Durbin and Senator Duckworth, and I just told them the time for holding back that's long gone.
Yeah.
You need to stand out there en masse. All this, and I'm talking about borrow, political theater from Republicans. Stand on the steps of the Capitol, every Democratic senator, and they could go every day. They could bring up an issue about how scary this is that Trump has just created his own brown shirts.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how much evidence there were against these January 6th rioters.
It was absolutely massive. It was absolutely
massive. But most people who don't listen to this station aren't they're not aware of just how much evidence there was.
Well,
but
it's all vanished from Fox News, and most of the mainstream
right.
media. They just don't, because it pisses off
right.
Republicans.
I'm trying to think of a way to break through to the corporate media, and I'm thinking if every day, you have the entire Senate out there on the Capitol steps warning about this, perhaps then something might break through. But I don't know if the Democrats, members of the Senate, have the will to do this.
I don't think it's a matter of will. I think that what's going to break for this, Ed, is when one of these militia groups actually does what, for example, in Hungary, Viktor Orban's got a couple of militia groups, one's particularly notorious, and they go into Roma neighborhoods, what we used to call the gypsies. Now that's considered a pejorative, but they go into Roma neighborhoods and beat up people or burn them out of their houses. When one of these militia groups does something like that, then I think
we've already had them. We've already had them marching through streets I forget which state or which city it was. But actually,
there have been a few.
We've already had them marching through.
Those
the
are
streets,
performances. I'm talking about actual violence. But we'll see. Ed, I got to run. Thanks a lot for the call. 27 minutes past the hour. I'll be back with more of your calls on the other side of this break. Stay with us. It's the Thom Hartmann Program.